Having children has destroyed my body. You heard that right. I know. They are a blessing. People say that all the time. And I believe my children are a blessing and I love them dearly. Um, but that doesn't change the fact that having kids have destroyed my body. And I'm not even talking about the physical appearance of my body. That I can learn to live with. It's like all the things that happened internally after having children. And that's what people don't really talk to you about. Nobody really talked about it, like all the moms that I knew before I had children. I feel like people sugarcoat it and make it sound like, oh, it's children are just the most amazing blessing. Pregnancy is so beautiful and like you're gonna be on cloud 9 and it's gonna be perfect. And when the children come out, everything will be rainbows and sunshine. I feel like there's a stigma in society that makes women feel like they have to keep their mouth shut about the truths of postpartum. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to make this video. Literally every day, sometimes I go to bed and I say, oh my goodness, I can't believe how much having children have destroyed my body. Let me explain what I mean. And I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. That doesn't mean I don't love my children. I love them 1,000%. I would go to war for them. I would kill for them. I love them so much. So let me explain what I mean when I say postpartum, having children, has destroyed my body. First is after kids, my goodness, after my first child, I had like what they call diastasis recti. Basically, your stomach abs split like rips so that your body can have enough room to grow the baby. Like your stomach literally ripping out, your stomach muscle, which doesn't really affect a lot of people and you can learn to live with, of course. That's what they call the mommy pooch. I don't mind having the mommy pooch. That's fine. But with my second child though, like the pregnancy was so overwhelming for my body that my liver started to react. Like my liver couldn't handle me being pregnant. I don't know what like the medical explanation of all that is. The diagnosis I was given was cholestasis of the liver due to pregnancy. Basically, it was overwhelmed and it couldn't handle it. And I had this horrible rash and it was such a scary moment, actually. I had to be monitored and induced early because they were afraid of the outcome of stillbirth. But all of that overwhelm that I went through stressed me out so much. Oh, stress I can't even describe. And then after I gave birth to my second kid, I had it's so embarrassing to say, but my bladder was basically falling out of me. And this happens to a lot of women and nobody talks about it. I forgot bladder prolapse. Basically, the pelvic floor is so weak that everything is being supported by the pelvic floor drops and it starts coming out. Some people, their uterus actually falls out of them. That's how bad it can get, this prolapse. And I had to go to a pelvic floor therapist, do a lot of things, and then eventually the insurance is like, we can't cover this anymore. But that's the story for another day. So bladder falling out of me, my liver being overwhelmed by pregnancy, and then after the baby came, it took a long time, many months for it to go back to normal too. I still had to stay on the medication that they put me in when I was pregnant. What else? So much. I go to a chiropractor now because my back, the middle of my back and my pelvis, it's out of alignment, out of whack. The way the chiropractor describes this basically is, if this is your pelvic bone, it opens up like this to get the baby to pass through during labor, like when you are in active labor. And then after you give birth, it's supposed to close, I close the way it was before, but my pelvis is still kind of like, it's crooked. This is no, actually it's like this. That's what he said. The left side is a little angled down and the right side is angled up, and it didn't close properly. So for a long time postpartum, I was feeling this horrible pelvic pain. It felt like my tailbone snapped. Like the pain was so bad. And there was this band across the middle of my back, just squeezing and squeezing me. It got worse and worse and worse over time. At first, I thought I just slept wrong, but then it just wouldn't stop. I did all the stretches that I could think of, and it was getting worse to the point where I couldn't lay down and I couldn't sit down. I was dreading just laying down at night to sleep because I could not get a shut eye. The pain was just too much, and I didn't understand what was going on with me. And then I was like, I remember going to a chiropractor when I was pregnant with my first. That was because of shoulder and neck pain from breastfeeding. So when I went to a different chiropractor this time, they did all their testing and all that. And that's when she realized, she's like, your right leg is a little shorter than your left. And that's because your pelvis is shifted in the wrong way, like it didn't heal properly. So now I have to go through all these processes and exercise and such to try to like shift it back the way it is, and it's painful. So thank God that the pain is reducing with every visit that I go and every manipulation she does on my body. But it just reminds me of all of the things that women are not told about pregnancy and about postpartum, and everybody shuts up about it instead of being open so that, you know, we don't suffer in silence. So I see a lot of people suffering in silence, and it drives me crazy. So I needed to make this video today. You might call it a vents video or informative video. I don't know why I'm making this. I just want to say that it's okay for you to complain about postpartum and all the things that pregnancy has done to your body. It doesn't mean you don't love your children, you know. So I hear like men complain all the time, like, oh, becoming a parent has done this. I'm like, do you know what I've gone through to bring these children into the world? So you need to stop complaining. You know, I'm over here, I take it all for my kids, but I want the next mom to be out there, to be prepared for what her body will go through. Because if you don't talk about all these things, that's when people end up with postpartum depression. It's not just about like the hormones of having children, it's all the changes that goes through your body, the physical changes, the internal changes that you can't see, the hormonal changes. All of these things get screwed up when you have children. So it's okay to talk about it. If you want to complain about it. Maybe by complaining to someone, they can tell you, oh yeah, I've gone through that before, and this is what helped me. Or I went to see this specialist, and this is what they did for me. Instead of sitting down and suffering in silence and expecting that, you know, this is what having children is going to do to you, and you just accept it as normal. It is not normal for your pelvis to fall out, for your pelvis to be angled wrong when it heals. It is not normal for your uterus to fall out or your bladder to prolapse. Those are not normal. It's not normal for your back to hurt when you're breastfeeding. It is not normal for your nipples to hurt when you're breastfeeding. It's not normal to have constant anxiety about your children. It doesn't mean that you have the motherly instinct. It is not normal for you to be feeling bad and sad and miserable after children. You might have postpartum anxiety, you might have postpartum depression, you might have all these things that I'm describing, and you're sitting there thinking it's normal and you're supposed to just accept your reality now. But if having children has destroyed your body, it has changed you in a way that you don't feel like yourself anymore, you need to talk about it so you can go seek help. Talk to a doctor, talk to your spouse, talk to friends, talk to family. Be open and talk. because it's through talking that we'll find answers to our problem. So yes, if have gone through something similar to mine, if you are pregnant and you're preparing for postpartum, if I don't know, you're a spouse of someone who's pregnant and preparing for postpartum, leave a comment below and tell me about your experience, tell me about your fears, tell me about your hopes. I want to hear from you. Talking is caring. We need to start talking more in motherhood and stop living in an island. So let us talk. Leave your comments below. See you next time.